So here's the thing, we just went through 1 week of Shadowlands, and in the second week there isn't enough new stuff, right? I made a few videos about what has changed, what you have to do in the second week, etc, but really, it's about the same thing. There's not enough to talk about for an entire week. The real cool stuff, the real interesting stuff is going to start with the raids, it's going to start with Mythic Plus and the PvP season. Although I suck at PvP and don't really care about it, but some of you I bet they will. So today, and for a few other videos, we will do something fun, something really cool. I had actually fun researching this. I was surprised at some of the results because I totally forgot. You have been formally invited to my quiz, my personal own quiz show. I am your host, you are my participant. Now, the prizes of this show are going to be absolutely fucking and nothing. These are the top 3 rewards you can chase in this quiz. So what we are doing here is that you have to answer, you have to guess which one of the abilities of each spec do the most damage with a single click. Just one button, how much damage it's gonna do. Doesn't matter if it's an ability, if it's a channel, or if it's a dot. It's just one button press. Now, for the bonus point round, the bonus point manche, we have also trying to figure out which abilities are going to end up doing the most damage over time, over the course of a fight for each spec. You know, some unsuspecting abilities that hit for quite little, but over time they will actually creep up and be one of your highest damaging abilities over a 3, 4, 5 minute fight. So we're going to be using a 184 item level character as a base, so it's relatable to the current state of the game. And I'm going to mention if there are some legendaries drastically changing the damage being done here. And then also, of course, all these points are made up. There is absolutely no rule in which the points are given out. It's just up to me and the spur of the moment. Now then, we will start with just a bunch of them. I have over 60 minutes of audio for this, so I can't really cram them up all in one video now, can I? So, let's go. So I want you to give me the top 3. Top 3 damaging ability for Frost Death Knight. It's really simple, there's only 3 answers, okay? There's no ifs or buts. It doesn't change with legendaries, it doesn't change with talents, it's only 3 answers. Number 1, it's Frostworm's Fury. Far and away, the new baseline ability, previously a talent, is going to hit for over 30,000 for crits. It's going to average 20,000 damage on use, and it's just a single simple button that you click once, and it hits for the hardest. In fact, it is, for now, I mean, we've just gone through one, but one of the candidates for the hardest hitting spell in the game right now. Not only that, it is so powerful that right now, for Frost DK, it is doing more than twice the damage of the second best. Now, which is the second best? The second best, by default, is going to be Cold Heart. Your talent that is going to make your Chains of Ice hit like a truck every once in a while. Now, similar to Frostworm's Fury, Cold Heart is not really a crucial part of your rotation. The DPS of Frostworm's Fury and the DPS of Cold Heart is very low. They both lose to your dot. They both lose to Frost Fever. You know, they even lose to your auto attack. That's why this completely pointless list is so cool, because they're not really abilities that change your rotation in any way. They just hit a lot. They just hit very hard. So the third ability that hits very hard for Frost Death Knight is going to be, remember, one click to do damage, so the answer is Remorseless Winter. Remorseless Winter is going to cap out at nearly 9,000 damage. This is together with Gathering Storm, the talent to empower Remorseless Winter. So the only thing that can come close to this top 3, because the rest of the damaging abilities of Frost are not really gonna mount up a challenge to this top 3, except for Two-Handed Killing Machine Obliterate. That's the only one that can get close to the 8.5, 9k average of Remorseless Winter. But still, not enough. Not close enough. Although, it has to be said, it's gonna scale harder. So maybe, when I do this in about 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, Killing Machine, Two-Handed Obliterate will have surpassed the overall damage of Remorseless Winter. It also, of course, is much cooler to use, right? The actual instant, all-in-one, all-at-once damage of Obliterate, as opposed to Remorseless Winter, which is basically a dot, basically your time. But still just one button click, so it qualifies for this list. But those are your 3 hardest hitting ability if you're playing Frost, and if you're playing with a Frost DK, against a Frost DK, or whatnot, those are the 3 hardest hitting abilities. Now, when it comes to the bonus points of the overall damage done of Frost Death Knight, the winner is going to be quite easily Obliterate. It doesn't even matter if you're playing dual wield or two-hander, it's still gonna be Obliterate on single target, followed by Howling Blast. Followed or matched, depending how long you can stretch this, by Breath of Sindragosa. Those are your three hardest hitting abilities when you play Frost DK. Breath of Sindragosa, of course, leaves the stage when you're not playing dual wield or the Breath of Sindragosa build, but you're playing two-handed build, in which case Obliterate damage goes even higher. So this was Frost. Check how many points you got. I don't know how many there were, I'm making this up as I go. And now we go to Unholy DK. So when it comes to Unholy DK, unlike Frost, the peak damage of Unholy is much lower than Frost. I'm not counting Covenant abilities because they are available to all the specs of the same class, of course, so the number one answer for Unholy would be Abomination Limb, but then Frost has it just the same. Unholy is in a situation where they have a ton of abilities, including their pets, their pet or pets, hitting for medium damage, just lots of them. Just to point you out an example, right now, not a single one of Unholy's abilities would make it into the top 4 hardest hitting damage abilities of Frost DK. You know, that's how little, so to speak, Unholy hits. It just hits more consistently, more often. Basically a dot class. Because their hardest hitting ability is going to be Soul Reaper. That's the answer. That's your point. Bonus point, if you actually knew about Execute Soul Reaper. Base Soul Reaper is pretty weak. Execute phase Soul Reaper is your hardest hitting ability. Mostly because the Execute phase explosion is 156% of your attack power, which is very powerful. Now, down from Soul Reaper we have another cooldown ability, Unholy Blight, another talent. Again, similar to Soul Reaper, it goes past the 5000 damage mark. It passes 5000 damage, that's your second hardest hitting ability. After Unholy Blight, we just have an ability salad of abilities all close to each other. Apocalypse, Festering Strike, Death Coil, Dark Transformation, Scourge Strike. They're all sitting somewhere between the 1500 and the 2300 range. So, for the purpose of simply using raw data, we're just gonna say that Apocalypse, your unused damage of Apocalypse is your third hardest hitting ability. Now, for the bonus point round, which abilities for Unholy DK make up for most of their damage overall in a single target encounter? Now, if you got baited, you didn't answer pet damage, which is the correct answer. The largest source of damage for an Unholy DK is going to come from their pet. As for themselves, the second hardest source of damage is going to come from Death Coil. And sadly, it's never quite fun to see something like this. The second source of damage for an Unholy DK is going to be their auto attack. So Unholy definitely has a different damage type, damage profile than Frost DK when it comes to which abilities do they actually use to do damage with. They are on a much lower scale than Frost Death Knight. Now, changing class. We go down the alphabet to meet HAVOC Demon Hunter. Similar to Death Knight, yes, they have a Covenant ability, hitting for a lot. Actually, all the ones they can use hit for a lot. But we're just looking at their kit before choosing a Covenant, or after choosing a Covenant and just ignoring that. Well, what's the hardest hitting abilities for HAVOC Demon Hunter? What are your answers? HAVOC is actually even lower than Unholy when it comes to one big Chad ability. Their hardest hitting ability is going to be I-Beam. Currently at 5.5, it can even go up closer to 7,500 when you take the talent to increase the duration of I-Beam, and that's going to be your standout. The other two ones that can get somewhat close are going to be Glaive Tempest and Immolation Aura. Glaive Tempest, of course, being a talent. So those are the top 3 for HAVOC Demon Hunter. I-Beam, Glaive Tempest, and Immolation Aura. I know lots of people are currently complaining about HAVOC, the state of HAVOC, but this is not the place. We're just looking at Chad numbers here. Now, on to the bonus point round. The bonus point round of which damaging abilities make up for most of the damage of a Demon Hunter on a single target. Well, the answer here is going to be your single target spender, essentially, Chaos Strike or Annihilation, as well as Death Sweep and Glaive Tempest. Obviously, if you're using Chaos Theory, which is what Demon Hunter are going to pick, the Annihilation damage is going to be even harder, is going to grow even larger, even Chaos Strike as well. If you're not using Chaos Theory, then that damage is going to go lower, but it should still be enough to be in the top, considering the other abilities of Demon Hunter are not hitting as much, near as much. Now, moving away from Demon Hunter, where do we land? We land on Balanced Druid. Now, I know I said I wouldn't mention the Covenant abilities as being part of this quiz, but I think I'm just gonna go and make a mention of Convoke the Spirits, because right now Convoke the Spirits is simming at doing over 90,000 damage in a single click. So I thought that was funny to mention. Now, on to the actual Balanced Druid abilities. Now, you would be tempted to rush into the answer of the hardest damage hitting ability of Balanced Druid. I urge you to reconsider and not get baited. So which is the strongest single target hitting ability for Balanced Druid? The answer is Full Moon. Yes, if you answered Star Surge, you got baited. Full Moon does 33% more damage than Star Surge, just by tooltips. Of course, Star Surge can get buffed other ways that Full Moon cannot, but Full Moon takes the cake in that sense. The third hardest hitting ability of Balanced Druid on single target. Now again, don't get baited. Don't fall for the trap. Think about it logically. I know it would be stupid to do it, to answer this on a single target rotation, but just just think about the numbers. Because the third hardest hitting ability of Balanced Druid on single target is Starfall. Yes, of course, on single target you will be using Star Surge. Still, using Starfall is gonna do far less than Star Surge, but still more than all the other stuff, so it makes it in the top 3. Other abilities like Wrath and Starfire don't do nearly enough damage, so this is going to be the top 3 of Balanced Druid. Now, when it comes to the damage composition, the most damaging abilities of your entire build is, of course, going to be Star Surge. That's going to be your most damaging ability on single target, followed by Wrath and then Shooting Stars, your passive. Those are the top 3 most damaging abilities of Balanced Druid. Now, Feral Druid, when you think about it for 5 seconds, even if you haven't played Feral Druid in a long time, it's a very, very simple spec to guess. This should be some free points for everyone. Because Feral Druid is essentially a 2-man team. It's a 2-ability team. Both in the damage done, as well as the hardest hitting abilities, it's just gonna be 2 entries. One is Rip, and the other is Ferocious Bite. Rip is a dot. Rip hits over 24 seconds, but as I said, we are just looking at one single button click for the most damage, and Rip, while being a dot, still hits in a single button for over 35,000 damage. So it makes the entry in this video. And the second one is going to be Ferocious Bite. Ferocious Bite hitting for about a third of a Rip in a single hit. The reason why Feral is a 2-ability spec is because the other abilities are just too far down to even consider entering the podium. So we are stopping at top 2 for Feral because there isn't really much else. Even looking at Convoke the Spirits from Feral, it's doing half the damage of the balanced version because they don't get to shoot Star Surges out of their ass, and they don't even get to shoot Full Moons either, so the damage is much reduced. And when it comes to the damage composition, Ferocious Bite and Rip also make up for most of the damage of Feral. Nearly 50% of the entire damage of Feral just comes from these 2 abilities. This was Feral. Should have been some easy points for everyone. I'm actually gonna dock you double the points if you mess this up in this imaginary ranking, because it was very easy. Now, on to Hunters. So, for Beast Mastery, you should get the same hint as for Unholy. They have an auto attack, they have a pet. They are bound to not hit very hard with their abilities. They have, of course, some of their Covenants that can hit hard, but that doesn't matter. They have some of their Legendary. In fact, their one Legendary, their Soulforge Embers, which can hit harder than all of their other abilities. But when it comes to their kit, similar to Unholy, it's just an orgy of 2,000 to 3,000 damage. From Kill Shot, to Kill Command, to Barb Shot, to Cobra Shot, they're all very, very close. So, double, triple, even quadruple points for people who get them correctly. Well then, trickily enough, the absolute, by a landslide, strongest ability for BM Hunter is obviously Stampede. Stampede is clocking at over 40,000 damage per application, per click, so easily the strongest ability of BM Hunter, although not very used, not very meta, but still. The second one, talking about not very meta, particularly for single target, since this is better for Mythic Plus, definitely is a Murder of Crows. A Murder of Crows is going to be doing a little over 8,000 damage, so it's another good one. And then lastly we have Barb Shot. I'm gonna take myself the liberty to count Stomp as part of Barb Shot, since it is Barb Shot that generates it. If you have a complaint for this, then voice your displeasure to the authorities and you will hear back from them in about 6 months. So stay tuned for that. Now, when it comes to their damage percentage, before you answer, you were baited once before with Unholy. Yes, the number one answer for Beast Mastery is going to be pet damage. Pet damage is the king on BM Hunter damage, followed by Cobra Shot and Kill Command. Those are the top 3 most damage done abilities of BM Hunter. Now on to their brother. Their much more popular brother, their OP brother, Marksmanship. At least at the eyes of the community, apparently. People can't stop screeching about how OP Marksmanship is. Yeah, once again, Wild Spirits can do a lot of damage in a single iteration. We're looking at single abilities here. Spec-related abilities, and it's sort of embarrassing to make a podium, to make a top 3 for Marksmanship when they have like 6 total abilities. That's kind of awkward. However, this should also be very simple. This should count as alpha point because the hardest hitting ability of Marksmanship Hunter is Aim Shot. Averaging nearly 8,000 damage, of course a little bit less when you don't have careful aim or you're outside the careful aim window, but it is still going to be at the top. The second and third for Hunter, because of course the scarcity of their normal abilities, they are gonna be talents. You have 5 seconds to tell me the talents. Go! The answer is going to be Volley and Explosive Shot. Hilariously enough, these are AoE talents, yet they will be doing the highest type of damage for single target as well. They will still not be the main way to go for single target, but still. When you go for Volley, you can do a bit over 7,000 damage on single target per application, per button click. And then Explosive Shot is going to be doing a little over 6,500. So those are going to be your 3 highest damaging ability with a single click. Aim Shot, Volley, and Explosive Shot. All the rest, all the other junk, Rapid Fire, Kill Shot, Arcane Shot, Steady Shot, your auto attack is just not going to be, comparable to this. The only caveat is we can make a mention to double tap. Because technically, once you click double tap, your next aim shot is effectively going to shoot twice with a single button. So it should probably count, and if it did, if we count the double tap, then aim shot would go up. Aim shot would rise up to well over 12,000 damage. So that's a little bit of an extra answer for your bonus points. I would say 54 bonus points if you actually guessed double tap as well. When it comes to their overall damage composition, the winner, of course, easy points here, the winner is aim shot. Long and away. I'm gonna give you actually double points. 3.5 times the points if you can tell me which ability does more damage over the course of a fight. The aim shot, or the rapid fire, the serpent sting, the auto shot, and the kill shot. The answer is aim shot, still. That is how much it's winning by for Hunter, for marksmanship. And now, much like its life expectancy in the game, we are cutting survival out because it's time to take a pause. It's time to take a breather. The first part of the video is done. We have just gone through Frost, Unholy, HAVOC, Balanced Druid, Feral Druid, and then Beast Mastery and Marksmanship Hunter, 7 of the specs. These videos are getting pretty long, so right now the current title holders are going to be Stampede, Rip, and Frostworm's Fury. These are our current champs right now. In the next video we're gonna see a few more. You're gonna see, of course, Survival, the poor guy, and then all of the mages, the Windwalker Monk, the Rat Paladin, and the Shadow Priest, and maybe even one of the Rogue specs, just to give you some 14 bonus points if you guess which one of the 3 is gonna make it in. With this initial part, guys, I'm gonna see you soon. I don't know if the next part of this TV show is gonna come out tomorrow or in a couple of days. It just depends on how many things there are to do in the game, how many news, how many important things to mention are gonna be out. If there aren't, if all is quiet, then we can go on with the show. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, count your points.